You're now listening to the Something Good Podcast Network. Please press any key to continue.
All right, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Couch Potatoes. I'm Alex
Morrison.
And kicking off here, we're going to be diving into, actually, I'm going to be selfish here, my favorite director. We've talked about your favorite director, Chris, and all his...
Have we?
Yeah.
When did we? Oh, we talked about favorite directors, like around the table.
Yeah, in which I re-listened to that pretty recently, and I got to go like, and I like Kevin Smith. Okay, everyone, we hope we have a good episode. Good night.
No one gives a fuck about him.
Well, see, that's the thing is, this is still going to be semi-topical because Kevin Smith has always kind of popped around back and forth in popularity, and like recently, it seems like between Clerks 3, which over the holidays finally got released on DVD and Blu-ray, between Clerks 3 and then Masters of the Universe, this dude can't catch a break right now.
Yeah, I liked Masters of the Universe. I thought he did a great job.
Well, see, not to pull up and beat a dead horse, but what people are complaining about with that one, and I can see both sides, is he was really pushing that series hard.
Yeah.
And saying that He-Man was going to be a predominant thing and this, that, and the other. And then for Teela to be the main character after that, a lot of people considered him a liar.
I think it's just because it's not finished.
Well, no, that his season's finished.
Well, I'm talking about the series.
Yeah, the series isn't finished, but if going into it all you have is that first season or whatever, and you're told one thing and then given another, you get labeled a liar after that. So a lot of people have just kind of been like, well, he's a fucking liar. He said that this wasn't going to happen, and it did.
Everyone I've talked to who's older than me, who would have been around during the OG like He-Man series, or even young enough to enjoy the He-Man series from the early 2000s, back when Toonami got a hold of it and did like 3 whole fucking seasons of just brutal fucking stuff. And I'm not even talking about the third generation, but like the first and second generation people really loved the series on Netflix. And Netflix, I will say, are probably the worst people to fucking work for. They are. People have these fan favorite series, and we're just going to cut them off. We're just going to cut the cord. They're losing their great directors from the last few series now. They're going to Amazon. So all those contracts just ended.
But, and I'm not even commenting on the quality of the show, if it's good or bad. But it would be like saying, hey, Alex, you like chocolate cake, don't you? I heard your birthday's coming soon. Chocolate cake's pretty tasty, isn't it?
What if I put limes in it?
Well, and then all of a sudden birthday rolls around and you give me a vanilla cake. It's like, well, I'm not necessarily complaining about the cake, but the entire time you've been talking about a chocolate cake, man.
Yeah.
Like, and now you're giving me the vanilla. Like, what the fuck is this?
No, I totally understand that. But, at the end of the day, it's still a product.
Yeah.
And I've always saw Kevin Smith as more like a nerdy version of Quentin Tarantino. Like if I wanted,
he wouldn't agree with you in public, but I feel like he agrees.
Yeah, but like if I wanted someone to make a nerdy thing, who would actually enjoy doing it and actually deal with this whole toxic fandom of any sort, I'd get Kevin Smith to make it.
Yeah. Especially
if it's comic book oriented, because everyone's throwing in their hat in the ring and they are fucking up.
Well, he refuses to touch a main series comic.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm not an idiot.
Yeah, but if he did like Spawn, that'd be the shit.
Yeah. Nah, I still just don't see him doing much of that. And on this episode, I don't think we're going to talk much Clerks 3, mainly because I think that needs to be a whole episode if we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Because it kind of covers everything that we're going to talk about in this episode, which is, in so many words, we're going to rank the Kevin Smith movies without, we don't have like the official ranking thing right above us. But
Number one, cop out.
Oh, God.
Number one.
But,
Number one.
But hey, if you say you're ranking something, it hits the algorithm just right. So yeah, we're ranking the Kevin Smith movies. First off would be 1994's Clerks. And, you know, as most people know, it was shot for $27,575. And most of that was put on a credit card and selling his own comic books, because Kevin wrote the movie, directed the movie, co-produced the movie, and basically helped edit the movie as well.
Yeah, that's
in the convenience store he worked at.
And if you go to like the history of movies, people who kind of like do that Die Hard kind of style of I want to make a movie so bad. Another version of this is the movie Rocky. I don't know if you know the history of that, but Sylvester Stallone sold his dog and to get that script done and get that shit done. And the guy who he sold the dog to was a dick and wanted like $24,000 for the dog to come back.
Wow.
And funny story about that, he has two turtles in the movie called Cuff and Link. And he still has them today. And I think that's fucking hilarious. But like, that, you know, Kevin, hearing about that when making Clerks, I was like, yeah, that's a diehard project. You know, I really want to do this. I'm willing to give up what I have. And you can't. We don't hear the untold stories of other people who've done this with indie films and stuff. And I'm glad he made it. You know, it is his stamp, though. You know, there isn't many movies like this in any way possible. It's an original story. Anytime we see, you know, the quintessential store worker, it's always an NPC side character. But we've got a whole narrative just about that, and that's high up on my list.
Oh, absolutely. And I would say this is one of them that I go back to and watch probably the least now, because I almost just know it so well.
Yeah.
And also the last time I watched it, maybe it's just because I know it so well, or, you know, because I'm a little bit older, it almost felt like it just dragged a little too much. Like there were certain like scenes where it's like the editor and me, as he always talks about, you know, he's like, I'm always editing as I'm watching something. Okay, Kevin Smith, well, I'm doing the same thing to your movie now. I'm watching it and mentally editing and going, you could have trimmed up this scene here just a little bit tighter, and that would have actually been a little bit funnier, you know, and this, that, and the other. And it's all shit that, again, I bet you he's just like, oh, yeah, looking at it now, I would totally do that.
Well,
he goes, but it is what it is, because it is exactly what you're saying. It sparked. It's weird how it rolled, because he saw a movie that inspired him immediately to want to do this.
Yeah.
And then by releasing this cheap black and white film, released in 94, so the only reason it was black and white is because of cost, because you still had to pay for film. All of a sudden, a bunch of people went, wait, anyone can make a movie?
Yeah. Well, the great thing about the original Clerks is it feels like if I had gone to film school, these are the movies I'm going to be watching. My other students are going to be making. You know, this is, you know, new ideas. You know, it kind of goes even with the black and white just to keep it cheap. You know, a lot of kids do that. Quentin Tarantino does that. Even in an actual full funded movies, he'll go black and white just to give it that feel. Yeah. And other directors do it. It's a good throw off a little bit. The Artist did this, and it won a fucking Oscar for some goddamn reason. But like it brings you back to like a feel of like, my friend made this, check this out. Like a YouTube video. And I think a lot of criticisms for that movie are because you're presenting it now with the stuff you've already watched, as opposed to when it came out, there wasn't really anything to go by. Yeah. Other than like film school kids.
It's still regarded as one of the best.
Oh no, I'm not going about that, but I'm just saying like any criticisms we have for it, we put on it from like watching Michael Bay movies.
But no, it's the movie in which we get introduced to Dante and Randall, who we will follow all the way up until this very year. Stuck in two dead-end jobs, one working at a video store, one working as a convenience store clerk. And exactly what you said, the day in the life of.
Yeah.
You got the video store clerk that really doesn't take his job seriously and is kind of at least in this movie, a lovable asshole.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't really. By the second movie, he starts becoming like a little bit more asshole.
like,
But in this one, he's more just the snarky.
And I think
store.
even though it is a video store, it doesn't horribly date the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like when we watch some movies, they're really dated on like, it's always like, oh, this guy's got like a housewife. He works a 40-hour job. He comes home, blah, 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 blah. No, this guy works at a video store.
We had those all the way up to the mid-thousands.
Yeah, they don't exist anymore.
No.
Even if they do, they're niche. And like another movie that kind of plays on this is Be Kind of Rewind, about a Leighton video store. And they make their own movie. And you know, you can see callbacks to Clerks and other Kevin Smith products from Jack Black and I forget the Most Def are the two guys in that movie. But yeah, it doesn't date the movie. It doesn't ruin it. It's still just a convenience store job, even though they do a niche thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so many cool little tricks where it's within the movie where Walter Flanagan, who winds up playing a big role later on in the Kevin Smith universe, by the time he starts doing podcasting, he pulls in his two friends named Brian Johnson and Walt Flanagan, who both show up in these movies later. And it's just like, hey, kids, I'm just talking with my friends. And these are two people that were in my movies. Say, hey, guys. And both of them were just like, hi.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Why are we doing this
Get
thing?
that goddamn camera out of my face.
Yeah. Well, no, not just the camera, but the talking about the podcasting bit. They're like, hi, why are we doing this podcast thing? This is weird. No one knows us. No one gives a shit about us. He's like, well, tell our story, man. We've been friends ever since we've been like, kids. I want to talk about that shit. And then sure enough people were interested and they created their own show, Tell 'em Steve Dave, which later morphed into Comic Book Men. That was a TV show on A&E.
Yeah.
So you've got all these different people that wind up playing such big roles in the universe of Kevin Smith later, which I find that to be really cool. That you see like the very beginnings of it where like Walter, he's the guy that's like checking all the eggs. He also is the one trying to buy a pack of cigarettes after the whole meltdown over the lung and all this other shit. He also plays, I think, one of the people yelling and throwing Twinkies at one, or throwing cigarettes and shit. It's like he plays like 5 different people in this movie. Yeah, all because he had to shoot late at night and had like maybe 2 people he could call on to be like, hey, are you available at 1 o'clock in the morning to shoot this stupid background scene as my main characters do something? Yeah. Please?
Like I said, it feels like a film school movie, so you're going to have your friends involved. You're going to have, people you know and love. Yeah. Even throw in the cash for it.
Yeah. So, and thankfully he was able to pay everyone, at least a couple bucks, standard rate, what was available. And, yeah, there was also an alternate ending where Dante gets shot at the end. Yeah. And he was actually showing that around at the film festivals and stuff. Like,
I kind of like that ending better.
And it is kind of that's why I wanted to bring it up. Because I get where he came from with that one. It's the ultimate bad day. He wasn't even supposed to be there today. Yeah. It's like, what I actually understand the humor in it. Like there's almost like a kind of punchline at the end, because how does the movie end? After a dead guy is found, a dead guy was jacking off in the bathroom. The girl wound up using him when she went to the bathroom. They had to deal with dead friend, all this other shit, underage smoking kid buying cigarettes, the other Chuli's gum rep causing an absolute scene, all the Jay and Silent Bob antics, all this shit, all the crap they've dealt with all fucking day. And Randall just walks in, he's like, oh yeah, and by the way, and starting off the day, gum in the locks, so he can't even get the fucking shutter up. So Randall gives him the sheet that he wrote, the we're actually open sign. He's
sure you were open, yeah.
Yes. He tosses him this thing and he's just like, you're closed. Well, shows him locking up, Guy, last second, walks in. He goes, hey, we're closed for the night. Points a gun at him. Pow! Puts one right through his chest. Reaches back there, grabs the money, runs out the door.
Yeah.
So I get the of it all. But it does also, but in the actual movie, it just cuts where he says, "You're closed," and tosses him the sign. You get like some more rock music in the background, and then it goes to the credit scene. I kind of like that one a little better because
I know why they did it is probably because, you know, the 90s audience probably wouldn't have liked a very visceral dead of, you know, killing of a protagonist.
Yeah.
Because that is not popular in the early 90s. Now it happens all the fucking time in horror movies.
Oh, yeah.
We drop people all the time.
But I don't know. Coming from someone, and you've worked these jobs too, both of us have done, you almost kind of have that feeling, though, when you know your shift is finally over at that mind-numbing job.
I've been robbed.
How all of a sudden, I know.
Yeah, but it's still funny.
but that feeling of like, as soon as you know you're clocked out, you almost hear like the rock music start playing in your head of just like, fuck yeah, what era it be, if, you know, I'm about to go home and play some video games or watch a killer movie. I'm
leaving.
Or I'm about to have me a beer. I'm out of here. You know, so it's like you also kind of get that feeling of like the relief for that character of yes, he's off work.
It probably would have been funnier if it was like more than one day, if it was like a instead of just one continuous day, which, you know, plot line wise it works great.
Yeah,
you know, but
this job would be great if it wasn't for the customers.
Yeah, this job would be great if I didn't have to work, if I didn't have to actually do anything, like the video store guy. And that's one thing I will say about Randall is, as much as I hate him, that job, what he's actually doing, the little mom and pop video store, is what we had in my town. We had a Blockbuster, but Blockbuster's fucking expensive.
Yeah,
but we had stuff like T-Town Video and like all these little mom
Family
and pop
Video.
Yeah, but like more mom and pop shops, you know, and no corporate, no family. We didn't have Family Video till years later after Blockbuster went out, but we had these little, you know, retro video and stuff like that.
And actually, here in town in Charlotte, we've got VisArt Video.
Yeah,
that has like a whole bunch of old VHS and DVD, and, you know, I guess Blu-ray now too.
Yeah, but no, it's funny that even though they're gone, like corporate wise, but they're still like these little people running around. It's still awesome.
All these little people still running around.
I'm sorry, Amazon cut your fucking head off.
And you get so many of the things that you're going to wind up seeing as callbacks and like Strikes Back and
Mallrats.
Well, you don't really start seeing too many of the callbacks in Mallrats yet. But in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, you know, and everything else, and basically everything he does post Clerks 2, you're going to get a lot of references back to this movie. A lot of them. In my S to F ranking, I have to put it as a solid A.
Yeah,
it's not an S for me though.
Yeah, put it as an A.
Yeah. Right after that, we've got Mallrats.
That was a fun
movie. Man, I like Mallrats better than Clerks.
Really?
Yeah, I really do. I like Brody. I like the whole setup of Mallrats so much better than Clerks. Like, anytime I show someone, like, because, you know, I'll meet a new friend, girlfriend, whatever, and they humor me and they're like, no, I've not seen the Kevin Smith movies. I don't know the lore. I always start with a deep sigh and go, well, we've got to get through Clerks first. It's funny, but don't judge the entire filmography on this movie. But this movie is so important to all the rest of them. Yeah. You have to still see it, though.
It's like you're trying to show somebody like Star Wars or some shit. Oh, no, we got to watch New Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's going to be the slowest of all of them. But trust me, hang in. It's good. And then I always go, it's good. We just got to get to Mallrats. And then you're going to like Mallrats. And sure enough, everyone winds up liking it after we get to that. Because you've got an all-star cast, too. You got Michael Rooker in it. You've got Ethan Suplee.
Yep.
And then the guy that played Brody... Jason Lee, he goes on to have a huge career in not only skating, but, you know, TV and more film. And it's just an all-around good movie. You got the two main characters that get broken up with at the very beginning.
Yeah.
What's the way to solve this, guys? Let's go to the mall. Yeah. In which they run into Jay and Silent Bob, and they're all having this fucking, Looney Tunes adventure of, you can almost hear the Scooby-Doo every time they're around.
It gave me the same kind of vibe as like High Fidelity. Yeah, High Fidelity with John Cusack has the same fucking vibe. It's just like because Mallrats also has, I believe, Liv Tyler. No, is Liv Tyler in Mallrats?
I'm gonna pull it up real quick.
But in High Fidelity, it's Liv Tyler and John Cusack, I think. But
we got Shannon Doherty.
That's who I was thinking about.
Yeah.
But anyway, you got that same dynamic about a relationship involved in like a store scenario, and John Cusack's best buddy Jack Black is just the comic relief. He's like a single man version of fucking Jay and Silent Bob. And one thing about Silent Bob, as Kevin Smith is, it's always a poetic monologue of just like a paragraph when he speaks. And it really brings the whole movie down to like a palatable pacing, because it's just like I think everything's kind of gone off the rails, and it's just like he just grabs somebody.
Yeah,
the back of the car said "Critters of Hollywood," and it's just like okay, now we're back. We're back to reality.
Yeah, and actually, I think this is the only movie that it doesn't. It's not anything kind of like worthwhile in that regard, because the first one is not all women come to work and bring you lasagna. Most of them cheat on you. It's just like, oh, fuck.
31 dicks.
Yeah, 37.
37.
Come on,
you
now.
always forget about the 6. You can forgive the 6.
But no, so it's like, that was kind of that was a line that brought Dante back down a little bit. He's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
All right, word. And then in Chasing Amy, he actually tells the story of Amy, all that stuff. But then this movie, he just gives a Star Wars quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was some Force quote or whatever.
And it does kind of bring it back, because this is a very nerdy movie in all of his movies.
Oh, yeah.
Because the one and only Stan Lee shows up,
because the main hook of it is so TS's girlfriend, her father, who is Michael Rooker, is trying to host a TV game show, dating game type thing, kind of like a matchmaker.
Yeah, kind of like a Chuck Barris kind of thing.
Yeah. And he was just like, hey, I'm going to put you in the show. TS didn't agree, so that caused them to break up, all this other shit. So now the entire movie is TS trying to win her back.
Yeah.
They tried to, and then Brody doesn't like the fact that there is a TV show going on in his mall, and tells Jay and Silent Bob basically just go ruin it. Go fuck it up. And that entire time, he's also runs into more people, and he's just like, why are there fucking lines everywhere? And you find out Stan Lee is doing an autograph signing at the comic shop, in which you also get one of the most important lines for his friend's career that they've built on this. You see Walt Flanagan, and for the first time, Brian Johnson. They're standing out the comic shop as Brody's walking up going, what the fuck's going on here? And Walt comes up and he's just like, hey buddy, do you have a problem? He's like, yeah, what's going on in here? He's like and like all this whole back and forth, and then Brian Johnson walks up. He's like, hey, you need to calm your ass. And then he's like, yeah, tell him, Steve Dave. And he's just like, you gotta tell me what the fuck's going on. So no, that whole line right there of tell him, Steve Dave. That one is an inside joke, because the comic shop that Kevin Smith and Walt Flanagan used to go to together, and I think it was the guy, I could be swapping around stories here, he's got a whole lot of them, but I think it's the guy that later on they did business with to try to buy a comic shop. But they were never sure if the guy's name was Steve
or
Dave. So instead of risking embarrassment to ask again, they always just very shorthand, all right, Steve Dave. like that way they can always call out, be like, no, I was saying Dave, or
Yeah.
no, it's just saying Steve. I just had sorry.
It's kind of like the Kiss podcast, "No Time to Turn." That's it's just a lyric.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Yep.
That we just choose. Just like anything else.
Well, Something Good For You was
Yeah.
like that. It was a riff on a Super Sucker song that we actually got permission to use in the intro.
Yeah.
Thought that was cool. But yeah, so the entire time that's happening, and then you also get Ben Affleck in this film, and I think it was like only his second acting job. Period.
Yeah, I think he had done. I think Good Will Hunting was around that time.
Good Will Hunting was after.
Yeah, Good Will Hunting, and then before that, it would have been. Oh, it's kind of hard to say because I don't know. Because a lot of actors go by different names, go by like their full names sometimes.
I'm actually going to pull his up real quick just as a side because
it wasn't Phantoms. No, Phantoms was later.
Yeah.
Affleck, you were Bob and Phantom.
Exactly. No, and the reason I even bring that up is because I think that's also something pretty important. Okay, Dazed and Confused.
Yeah,
That's what he was in.
everybody's in that fucking movie.
Yeah. He had only done a little bit of television before that.
Yeah, Dazed and Confused. I would love to do a whole retrospective about that fucking movie.
But yeah, he played just a teeny tiny little part in Dazed and Confused.
Well, he's a major part of the movie. He's one of the three.
Well, Fred.
Yeah, he's Pink's best friend.
I gotta decrease the role a little bit and make it seem like Mallrats was like his first like major film. Chris, come on.
No, it's Phantoms. He was the
No,
bomb.
it's Phantoms. God damn it.
He was the bomb in Phantom, Joe.
And I think it's also a great performance by Michael Rooker.
Oh, Michael Rooker's fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah.
He's one of those guys who takes those weird bit parts, and if it gets popular, he fucking runs with it. And he's kind of like Carlo Esposito, the guy who plays Gus Fring, who kind of demands more when it comes to his character. So like he plays Merle in Walking Dead. First time you see him, this racist prick loses his hand and you're thinking he's fucking dead.
Yeah.
And then they show him again with a fake like blade hand, and it's like, that's kind of cool. And then he apologized about being a prick, but then he shows up in Guardians, so which is another, I'm not saying a Kevin Smith thing, but a kind of like that kind of property, you know what I'm saying? Like a real nerdy kind of thing. And it's very niche. No one really knows what the fucking Guardians of the Galaxy are when that shit came out. But like he's also in like stupid fucking movies like Slither. He's involved with Joss Whedon on a lot of his stuff, who later comes up with Kevin Smith on some of his stuff. And he is also just a character actor from hell.
Yeah.
And I love Michael Rooker. He's fucking hilarious.
And he does a fucking bang up job in this movie because he plays the perfect unhinged businessman father type.
He's fucking fantastic as a psycho.
And because they already show you early in the movie that Stanley's at the mall. Of course he has to make an appearance, and right at the very end of it, when Brody's also trying to get back his girl after saying he didn't want her back the whole movie, he winds up talking with Stanley, and it's a pretty sweet little moment because you just see them talking, and Stanley gives him like a solid piece of advice. He's just like,
he's Stan Lee. He's going to give you a solid. He's a storyteller.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about power and responsibility.
And the awesome little kind of behind the curtain on that is the story that Stanley tells is that he had this one girlfriend, this, that, and the other, but she was always getting upset because he was putting comic books first and this, that, and the other. And he was like, well, but look at you now, you're Stan fucking Lee. I'm sure she feels pretty dumb. And he's just like, oh yeah, she may, but she's still the one though.
Yeah.
It's like she was still that one. And, he's just like, take care, Brody. Do what you need to do. And he was just like, oh fuck, I got to get my girl back. That kind of thing. And all of a sudden, T.S. catches Stan later on and says, did he buy the story? He's like, hook, line, and sinker. He believed every bit of it. The only reason that part is in there is because Stan read the script and went, Kevin, I love it, but I have a problem. that's not what happened to me. That's not my story. He's like, yeah, I know. But like, you're not playing like the real Stan Lee. You're playing a Stan Lee. It's like, I figured you didn't want to tell like your story. He's just like, no, I get it. But like,
one line of dialogue makes me an asshole.
It basically, he said that. He was just like, he goes, I love my wife. And like, that's not what happened. Like, she stuck by me. I had a really good woman. And he was just like, okay, well, what would you suggest? He goes, I don't know. Maybe one of your friends put me up to it. Yeah. And he's like, that's actually not a bad idea. So Stan actually wrote in that part for himself where TS is just like, hey, did he believe that bullshit story? And he says, oh yeah, he believed every bit of it.
So all right, real quick, just because it's fucking hilarious. In the pantheon that is the MCU, do you believe Mallrats is in the MCU, or Stan Lee himself, who's literally reading the script to Mallrats on a bus, is in the MCU? This weird version of the metaverse of the Kevin Smith verse and the fucking MCU melding together.
I love how, as you're explaining these universes, you're like semi-making Doctor Strange hands.
Well, no, I'm doing the hand motion. I'm just doing a hand motion of just like doubling up.
Oh, I know. I knew what you meant, but still, it's like from here, it looks like you're just like about to fucking use your sling ring. Yeah. But no,
sling ring would be a cool name for a ring with coke in it.
This is why I'd like to think, because what you're referencing is in the movie Captain Marvel, when she is transported back to the 90s.
She's up on a bus kicking the shit out of a woman.
Yep. And on that bus, you see an old man holding up a script that says Mallrats on it. It's like a red script with the Mallrats font. She pulls it down and it's Stan Lee. Well, here's where the Kevin Smith nerd has to come in. The Stan Lee they show is not the Stan Lee that showed up in that movie.
Yeah.
Because the Stan Lee that showed up in the movie just had a salt and pepper beard, salt and pepper hair, younger, But they decided to use old man Stan Lee in the 1990s clip in Captain Marvel. So that could just be a weird continuity slip.
Yeah.
But this is at least what I would like to think. Coming from someone that has, been like a big time fan of something for a long time, or, a hardcore, championer for something, okay, well, I'll use Kevin Smith as a smaller barometer, but as an example, love his films, love what he does, this, that, and the other. If he were to acknowledge that the Fill-Ins were a band that like Jay and Silent Bob listened to, I would be like, fuck yeah, the Fill-Ins are in the Jay and Silent Bob universe. I don't give a shit. And to me, I see that as Kevin Feige, after all these years of seeing him as a fan, being like, look, if we put you in a movie, it breaks immersion, dude. Like, we can't put Kevin Smith in a Marvel movie. Come on, bro. Like, that's going to fuck it up. But we can say you're in the universe.
Yeah.
And he found out he didn't get permission, quote unquote. He never did any of that. He just put it in because he knew that Kevin would have been like, what the fuck? That's so awesome. So, no, I think that's Kevin's way of just acknowledging a hardcore fan, and just being like, hey, bud, you're here too with us.
I just like even in the ECU, they do these little things. Like there was that big call for what's her name, Via Von True, to be a Squirrel Girl. But we see her in an MCU movie, like watching shit, like, holy shit, what the fuck's happening? But yeah, Mallrats, I'd put it as an A. It's not a big, maybe a B even. I do like Clerks more.
For me, this one has to go on my personal S. Mainly because I would say this is in my top 3 favorite Kevin Smith films. No. Is it objectively perfect? No. But out of all of the earlier stuff, I think this is the most solid effort. I think it's the most earnest. And honestly, I think it even has a little bit more character than the first movie did.
Yeah. I think it could just be a bigger budget.
Yeah, they did get a little bit more of a budget on this one.
Well, he didn't have to pawn his possessions.
No, he didn't. Thank God. Next up on the list is 97's Chasing Amy.
I've only seen this movie once.
Yeah.
And, even watch it, I didn't realize it was like a Kevin Smith movie. This is very Ben Affleck centric. I forget the girl's name, but she shows up later in a few other movies.
Joey Lauren Adams, who oddly enough, number one, was also in Mallrats. She was the guy that Kevin bust head in when he was Silent Batman, whatever the fuck his name is. But also, they were dating around that time. So, odd little tidbit that Kevin and Joey Adams were dating.
And he made her a lesbian.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, this is just the whole movie is about a big misunderstanding.
Yeah, and one of the few movies that kind of catches a little flack these days.
It does. It doesn't age well.
No, because the whole hook of the movie is Ben Affleck falls in love with a lesbian.
Yep. Very simple.
The lesbian kind of falls in love back, and neither one of them know how to really deal with that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a sad movie.
Yeah, it's something we kind of see with Kevin Smith a lot, is a weird version of a romance movie. Mm-hmm. A lot of his movies have a romance undertone, which is just great. It adds to the story, but they are sad but more realistic.
Yeah,
they're not like a romantic comedy that you see. It's just like, oh no, you celebrate Christmas, I live in a city, I'm a piece of shit. So you know what I'm saying, like these little holiday romance movies, but like his are very real. Yeah, I will say that. It probably didn't resonate with a lot of audiences just because it's the early 90s. Yeah, so find your crowd.
And honestly, I've seen this one a good bit, and the first few times I watched it, like, it really made me sad because I don't know, I guess it just struck a chord with me in a different way, because I was sitting here going, like, was the way he went about this movie the best? No. There were some things that were a little problematic with the way lesbianism was being portrayed. But the way I was also looking at it is like, and they had that really weird scene where it was just like, we all have to have a three-way to get these feelings out. Yeah. And shit like that.
That's
like,
where it catches flack.
Yeah, big time. I can absolutely agree and relate to that. That's a really weird fucking scene.
In a weird way, if he was to remake this and talk about like a polyamory couple with mixed feelings, that would be hilarious.
Yeah. But the resolution of it is what always broke my heart. Yeah. Which was, they understood that they still loved each other, but they still weren't going to be with each other. Yeah. That was, to me, the heartbreaking part. Is it was just like they couldn't get over their own feelings for each other or what their own thoughts were enough to actually make it work. They still had those feelings, but they had to deal with it. And it's like, what was his coping mechanism? Writing a comic book about it. And it was just like, you make the art out of the pain. It was just like, so no, watching that as like a young teen, still figuring shit out in life, I was just like, this movie hurts.
Yeah, I think I watched it on, I forget what it was like TNT or TBS that came on, and I remember watching it, I'm just like, that's just a Sunday movie. Yeah.
And it's a good lazy movie. Honestly,
I'd put it like a C.
It falls between a B and an A for me. Yeah. I don't know, because I feel like, actually, I put the original Clerks today. I'll put this on the same level as that for me. With all its faults and stuff, it was the first time we kind of got a serious movie out of Kevin. And I don't know, it might actually be one of his stronger...
It's a more serious film.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It might be one of his more stronger of the serious films. Because he tries to make a few other serious films that may not quite land. But yeah, moving on from that, we've got Dogma.
Fucking S tier.
You talk about that one a second while I guess a drink, because I have maybe watched this one once in its entirety. It's kind of hard to find because... as Kevin Smith says, oddly enough, a movie about angels is owned by the devil. Yeah. Because Harvey Weinstein still owns this movie.
Yeah. No, I love Dogma. You get Ben Affleck, Matt Damon playing as angels. It's a solid flick. your story is fucking outlandish. You know, what if Jesus had kids? You got Alan Rickman from Die Hard, which probably comes back later to bite Kevin Smith in the ass. You get Chris Rock, Jay and Silent Bob have a bigger role. Selma Hayek is in it, you know, and she's coming off around the same time of pulling a Quentin Tarantino movie from Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting so many
And then
good
you get
characters.
Alanis Morissette as God.
Yeah, but it also has George Carlin
Yes.
as the bishop and the cardinal. And there's so much stuff going on in the movie, it doesn't let up. The only stupid part of the movie is the shit demon, but even that's fucking hilarious. And Jason Lee playing a devil, a version of a devil, has one of the funniest lines I've ever heard. It was in the beginning they kill this housewife or whatever, and he turns the heat on in the house and he says there's no sin greater than central air. And it's so funny because you're literally controlling the environment in which you live in because God said it should rain, and you're just like, fuck that, it's sunny day in this motherfucker. But like, you know what I'm saying, it's a slap in the face with all of technology. And George Carlin playing a kind of a fascist Catholic is fucking perfect. And and he's a rebrand guy too, so he's like a businessman. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck as angels, but it's like a buddy movie with just them, and it's fucking hilarious. The main chick is solid at what her deadpan delivery is perfect, and her friend is Janine Garofalo in the beginning of the movie, and she's Jewish, and they're having this Jewish Catholics thing.
I think you're thinking of Lyndon Florentino.
Yeah. So they're having this conversation. She hasn't done much in acting wise, but her and Janine Garofalo having this conversation because you remember where they work?
In this movie?
Yeah.
No.
They work at an abortion clinic.
Okay.
Or a women's health facility, Planned Parenthood. And they're having all these people hanging up signs, dead babies and shit. And that is such a little part of the movie until it branches off to why Jay and Silent Bob are there.
Right.
Because their fucked up reasoning to come to this town was, if I go to a women's clinic, the women are loose. They'll sleep with us.
Well,
And like that's their stupid fucking reason.
In Jay and Silent Bob brain, that works.
Yeah. And like and he's like, we were going to this one place, and she's like, you know that place doesn't exist, right? He's like, what? We've been watching all those fucking movies. She's like, what movies? And they're talking about 16 Candles and stuff. You mean 16 Candles, John Hughes? He made that town up. Like, it doesn't exist. You dumb motherfuckers. And like, I love the Kevin Smith just slaps him on and is just like, I fucking told you. But like, he's doing the hand up motion. But we find out that she is a descendant of the one and only, the greatest conspiracy of all, that Jesus had kids. But we meet Alan Rickman, who shows up, who is fucking hilarious, by the way, in this movie. He plays a seraphim, which is just an angel, and who can't imbibe alcohol, which is funny because he takes her to a Mexican restaurant and is just like, and throws the tequila behind him. He's like, we can't imbibe alcohol because we accidentally created giants. And it's just like a slap in the face to like not just the conspiracy part of it, but like the religious part of it, just the name Dogma. And it's all about Catholic rules and regulations, and it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But Buddy Christ, though.
I was gonna say that the Buddy Christ, that's one of the OG memes. That was one of those first like 5 or 6 internet image memes that were going around with like Velociraptor and the happy dog and all that shit.
We get movies is a bigger part in this.
Yep.
Because
this is the first time we see movies.
And this is the funniest part about movies. So they're getting in the elevator. He's like, I'm going to do the one thing I've always wanted to do. What's that? Kill people. But they're talking about how hard it is being an angel.
Yeah.
And it's just like, smiting, sulfur, raining down Brahm and sulfur and all this. There's only only a handful of activities that are just like soccer. And it's just like soccer is the physical activity that you compare to raining brimstone and sulfur to the land and killing and smiting. It's like, man, it's almost as hard as soccer.
And of course, what's funny is I have more background stories about this movie than I've actually seen the movie. For one, Rickman loved his role.
Yeah.
And Carlin took his role super serious.
Yeah.
Like,
down to the outfit.
well, because Kevin was just like, he was surprised. Like he said, Carlin was always a huge inspiration for him. Like he loved Carlin's work. He thought he was hilarious, how you'd push the line and say the thing that's not supposed to be said.
Yeah, so the whole 7 words you can't say.
Yeah, but like even throughout his comedy career in the 80s, is like he said he was still on it. He was still just pumping out this great, raunchy material that, he really enjoyed. And when he asked him to be in the movie, he was just like, oh, it's going to be, because it's kind of fun. It's going to be George Carlin's in my movie. This is going to be great. He goes, all of a sudden, I saw a side of him I never saw before. Yeah. He's like, he was asking detailed questions about his character, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. Just
make it up.
Yeah. He's like, just do what you want, man. Mm-hmm. Like he was just like, yeah, but if I'm this kind of preacher, I shouldn't be saying this. I need to be saying this because actually, if you look at this kind of preacher, he actually says a yada yada blah blah blah, and this guy does a yada yada da. And knowing my history and background, I know that we do that blah 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 blah. And he's like pulling from all these different places, and he's just like taking it super serious. And he of course, the way Kevin tells stories, he always feeds it into the next. He goes, he even did that in Strikes Back. He's like, he was
rules
just a hitch
of the road.
Yeah, he goes, so what actually are these rules, Kevin? Yeah. And he's just like, George, you know by now how these movies go. He's like, right, but like, am I kind of giving them a wink, or do I believe in this book? And he said, he put his hand on George's shoulder. He goes, you believe in this book more than the Bible. Yeah. And he was like, okay, I can do that.
But it's like, it's the same with all comedians, kind of like that. Like Robin Williams in Insomnia and 1 Hour Photo, he gave direction for himself a lot of those movies, because he said, no, a guy like this, unhinged, wouldn't do this. And they're hearing this from Robin Williams. This funny man, this hyperactive funny man, and he's giving directions like, well, no, if I was going to kill them, like it's just like, oh shit,
it's like if Mr. Rogers all of a sudden was like, and here's how to clean a gun.
Yeah. But
which he actually would know how to do.
Yeah, he just tell you not to point it at people.
Yeah,
but with his puppets. And
a good Jay story on this one is throughout the first 2 movies. Oh, funny PS on Mallrats. So Mallrats was the first one, as you mentioned, to actually have a budget. And because of that, the distribution house at the time was just like, that Jay guy, we need to recast him. Yeah. And he was just like, no, that's my buddy. That's my friend. And they're like, yeah, but we don't think he's gonna cut it. We have this guy Seth Green on the phone. Up and coming actor, really cool dude. I think he's going to play the role of Jay pretty well. No, and he's just like, no, I don't know who this kid is. He's like this unknown kid. Seriously, it would have been his first actual acting roles before like anything.
I think it was around the same time of like Idle Hand.
Okay, yeah, that may have been the only other,
because he gets killed at that. It's fucking hilarious.
Yes,
takes a bottle to the head.
So and that. Oh, fun fact! I think that movie had The Offspring in it.
Yeah.
But no, so that would have been like his only. He wasn't like an A-lister yet. Yeah. So he's just like, no, I want my friend Jason Mewes to play the part. He's like, well, he's gonna have to audition. He's like, what do you mean he's going to have to audition for himself? Yeah. And eventually he talked him into like letting them fly. He's like, well, we're not going to fly him out there. We're not going to cover his costs. And if by day 2, if we feel like he's not cutting it, we're calling the Seth Green guy. So literally he had to sit him down, was just like, bro, you got to take this serious. You got to know your shit. And he showed up, knocked it out, and they're like, okay, fine, he can stay. Well, when he gets Alan Rickman for this movie, he sits Jay down. He's just like, listen, motherfucker, we got big timers in this movie. We got Alan fucking Rickman in this film, okay? You can't be fucking around, all right?
Yeah.
This is the big time. You got to know your shit. You got to know your lines. You got to know where to stand, how to stand, and you fucking deliver that shit, motherfucker. Do not embarrass us in front of Alan Rickman. Okay, Jay? Don't do this. Because here's the thing. Is as much as we like the character of Jason Mewes, at that point in time, the guy you saw on screen was the guy off screen.
Yeah.
There was no
Just an insufferable asshole.
Yes, like he was getting to that point. You were getting almost, you were kind of getting to drug J stage at this point. So yeah, the person you saw on the screen was also the guy off screen, if not the guy off screen a little bit worse. So he's just like, you gotta know your shit. And he goes, I have never seen someone know their shit more in my entire life. And day one after the shoot, I was just like, Jay, holy crap, you know your stuff. He goes, yeah, I actually know everyone's lines. He's just like, why do you know everyone's lines? He goes, I really didn't want to fuck up in front of that Rickman guy that you kept talking about. He goes, where the fuck is he? He goes, you've been shooting with him all day.
Yeah, you want to do a complete turnaround with that motherfucker.
Yeah.
But, you know, what's funny about the movie is, like, there's so many, like, serious moments that get, you know, this laid back feeling, just next turn. And it's kind of like watching, like, a D&D game almost. It's like exposition fight. And, like, it's fucking hilarious because when they meet one of the muses, it's Selma Hayek at a strip club.
Yeah.
And it's Jay going toe-to-toe, Jay and Silent Bob going toe-to-toe with these rappers. They're sort of just trying to put dollars on the fucking table. And, it's just like, and she's just like singing it, and Chris Rock's like, wait, I know this bitch, because Chris Rock plays the 13th apostle, Rufus. Jesus was my homeboy. He fucking, I got stoned in Canaan land, but he taught me the secrets of the resurrection, but I got drunk and forgot. And it's just like, that is fucking hilarious that Jesus taught this dude the secret of the resurrection, but he just got drunk and forgot and died.
Yeah, and another A-lister, Chris Rock in the film. It's awesome.
You know, it's a stacked cast, even with not just Alan Rickman, but, you know, Jason Lee being the constant, you know, antagonist, along with kind of Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, who are on a mission. They're here to do one thing only: go to a church, go through the doors, because of a weird version of Bible theocracy is something George Carlin brings up, and then he gets turned out. What Chris Rock says is, whatever you hold truth on earth, I hold true in heaven, which is a Catholic thing. But like, they're thinking, hey, look, this guy's saying, like, we're free. If we become mortals and die and go through those gates, we can go back to heaven. We can go back home. That's the whole point. We need to go back home. And Alan Rickman's just like, no, we need to kill these motherfuckers. Like, we can't do this. And where's God? He's busy. He plays skee ball at an arcade on the boardwalk. It got killed.
Well, no, and then you find out God is Alanis Morissette.
Well, God is inside the body of a man in a vegetative state the whole time. But yeah, God is Alanis Morissette with man legs.
Yeah.
And I love just the ending of the movie is perfect. They do what they had to do. Everything, like a miracle works out for the main character. There's that weird situation is like, oh shit, the world's ending, and there's bodies falling from the sky because Ben Affleck's murdering people in the sky, and Jay is just undoing his pants, being like, you said if it was the end of the world, you fuck me. So, she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I love Salma Hayek and Kevin Smith just grabbing his head when God is about to talk, and it's just like, shut your fucking ears, you idiot. Wait, who's this bitch? And it's just like, he just looks at God and is, who's this bitch? She touches his face, and it's like, everything's fine. And then the movie ends, and it's probably the most hated movie by Catholics.
Yes. Oh my God.
The protest for against this movie is hilarious.
Yep. And I love the fact that Kevin Smith actually incognito joined some of the protests, and like some of the cast and crew joined, and like incognito, and like no one noticed because no one watched the movie.
Well, no one pays attention about anything. That's how the Daily Show is able to get correspondence in the middle of like a fucking Trump rally. It's just like, so you believe gorillas don't exist? It's just like, what the fuck? How did you get in there? Oh, he just wore a hat.
But no, I'll have to throw it to you on the ranking on the S tier, because again, I've watched it maybe once or twice, and it was good. Just, I don't know, I guess every time I tried to start it up, it just wasn't the right time, and I just didn't fall into it or fall any interest in.
Sci-fi would play it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And It was a fun movie.
But yeah, as I kind of mentioned, this is really heavy heroin era Jay. I mean, especially after this movie, because they're really starting to become, known. He's starting to get easy access to this stuff, and it's kind of putting a strain not only on the business of things, but on the friendship of things.
Yeah, that's always going to happen.
So by 2001, Kevin Smith decides, all right, I'm done with this VIEWASKEW Universe bullshit. I'm closing the book. I'm closing the book on it. I'm making a movie called Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And we're going to kind of showcase where all these different characters have been once before. Mm-hmm. And we're going to wrap it up with a big music number. And it's just going to be a fun the end to this movie, or to this whole franchise series. Yeah. And man, this is a fantastic fucking movie.
Oh, S tier.
I love this movie.
It's a slapstick comedy. It's about two guys just trying to get across from one end to the other
to stop this bullshit comic book movie from being made.
But it's like the troll culture, is where it comes from. Oh, these guys are a bunch of expletive this, expletive that, and oh my god, these guys are just going to do the one thing. Well, we want to find out who these assholes are. And I love Ben Affleck being the voice of reason. He's like, first of all, you want to track down every person who doesn't like you and kick the shit out of them.
Fuck yeah, we do. They're talking mad shit on us, trying to keep us from getting that puss.
That's fucking retarded. But
imagine if we brought these two hotties back to our place, Silent Bob and I about to get down and be like, oh wait, aren't you these two fuckheads that we saw in those fucking movies?
I love the opener that they were destined to meet because their moms are just lazy pieces of shit.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So the opening of the movie, 1970s or 60s. New Jersey, and it even has God, what's the fucking song? Fuck. It's a real popular song, but it's like classic 70s rock and roll blaring. And
is it Life's Been Good So Far by John Walsh?
I think so.
Yeah, Joe Walsh.
Yeah.
Life's Been Good So Far.
Yeah. And so it starts off with that, and it's Kevin Smith's Silent Bob's mom drops him off, which, side note, baby Silent Bob is played by his daughter, Harley. So she leaves him there. He's like, hey, baby, now mommy's just going to run in here really quick, okay? Just like super sweet with him, here, put this hat on. That way, keeps the sun out of your eyes.
Jay's mom's like, I'm going to go in here and buy a pack of wraps.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, you stay out here, you little shit bag. Mommy's going to go in here and score some fucking cash. Yeah. And the guy's
like a Beavis and Butthead kind of thing.
Yeah, and the guy's like, hey, you really gonna leave these two little kids over here? He's like, who's watching these kids? He's like,
the big one's watching the little one.
Yeah. And it's like, boom, immediately even sets up the chemistry right there. He's like,
what the fuck is wrong with you, lady?
Yeah, he's like, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck.
And the song.
Yep, and then it just blends them into current day. The fuck, motherfuck, noise. Mikey and I will just bust into that. Like, we've been just like riding to a show, and like something happens, or at some point we say fuck in a sentence, and we're like fuck. Like that, we just start buzzing. And he always takes it the furthest. I usually stop right there, and he just goes rolling into the smoking weed, smoking fatties, rolling blunts. Who smokes the blunts? We smoke the blunts. Rolling fatties, smoking blunts.
It's funny because this is one of the continuity things I fucking love are the two people buying weed from him, and it's always the same guy. Yes. He has a friend. It's always different sometimes. It's like sometimes it's Ethan Suplee, sometimes it's someone else. But it's the same guy.
Yeah.
The first kid. He's like, and I love it better in Clerks 2 because it's the callback.
Yep.
But this one is fucking hilarious. It's just these two kids, just $15. Little man, put that shit in my hand.
That's still this movie. Yeah, they roll into that.
That's what I'm saying. But it's just like that compared to like Clerks 2. It's fucking hilarious.
Yes.
And he's like, put that shit in my hand. If you don't, you owe me,
If that money doesn't show, then you owe me, my jungle love.
He's like, hey, what the fuck is that? He's like, and they just lose their shit over Purple Rain. Their favorite movie is Purple Rain. And they're just
Morris Day in the motherfucking time.
And it's just like, that's the god damn it. You guys just listen to Morris Day and probably Funkadelic and the Gap Band. Probably y'all just get fucking stoned out of your mind and just fucking listen to funk music from the 70s.
And you know what? That makes Jay and Silent Bob probably the coolest stoners to hang out with.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden it's like you blaze up with them. All of a sudden Jackson 5 comes blaring through the stereo, and you're like, oh fuck yeah.
They're super fucking aggressive to begin with. They're just like, that's just the fucking man notes. I fucking kick the shit out of you. And it's just like, he's a kid.
Never disrespect the time.
You never disrespect Morris Day at the time. But they find out about the comic book. We get Dante and Randall
because that
twice.
was the thing they established in Dogma, was that the Ben Affleck character and the Jason Lee character were working on Bloodman and Chronic based upon these two drug dealers that Ben Affleck knew and all this other shit.
And Jason Lee plays two characters in this, which I fucking love.
Well, he's got to.
Yeah, he has to. Their identities are been stolen or procured to make a comic book and then into a movie.
Yes, because the Brody character sold his Ben Affleck sold his portion to the Brody character. The Brody character then sold the license off to the big studio house,
Miramax.
Yes, and which Jay and Silent Bob get no cut of, and they're not okay with that. They want their motherfucking movie check or to stop this shit from being made.
Which comes into the later on into the Silent Bob monologue, and it's like, no, you used our likenesses, and it's just a fucking great monologue. But this them trying to get from one end of the country to the other is the Odyssey.
Oh my god, it's so great.
And so as they go forward, they meet people like Carrie Fisher. They meet people like George Carlin, who is the main aspect of the film.
Carrie Fisher is a nun.
Yes, a holy roller who's run around, who knows the good book.
Yes.
So you honor you're about
you
that
follow the book.
Of course. And then he just tries to go down on her. And as soon as she just tries to run off the fucking road, get the fuck out of my car, you pieces of shit. And he's just like, man, that guy fucking lied, man. This rode my ass. And they're just rolling on, and they meet Scoob in the gang, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, fucked up Scoob in the gang.
And they're the fucking best, Scoob in the gang, of any other iteration of live action, because it's one line dialogue. I wish they were street hitchhiking girls. And it's just Velma just like, and like, I love the subtlety of Jay and Silent Bob just standing in the back, and he's just like, like, that girl's a fucking lesbian. And they would know.
Will Ferrell's in this movie too.
Yes, that comes in later. But
it does. Yeah, we'll get there.
So
I'm jumping ahead.
So after Scoob and the gang kicked them the fuck out, they end up at a movies and end up seeing the four women come out. One being, I believe, Kevin Smith's wife.
Yep.
Elijah Dushku. I can't remember who the other girl was, but then there was the main one that Jay falls in love with immediately. It was in American Pie. I remember that.
Getting the cast pulled up here. All right, we got Shannon Elizabeth as Justice, Eliza Dushku as Sissy, Ali Larder.
Ali Lauder is I forget about
as
Ali
Chrissy,
Lauder.
And then Jennifer Schwalbuck is Missy.
Lauder's in a lot of like Joss Whedon stuff. She's like in Buffy, that old CW shit back before it became all comic books.
Shannon Elizabeth though, god damn.
Yeah.
I remember watching that the first time and just being like, she is fucking gorgeous.
She was in Scary Movie. She gets her head cut off. Yeah. But Elijah Dushku is fucking hilarious, and she was big at that time. It was when those Cheer movies came out. Same fucking thing.
Yeah.
But so they're coming out, and Sean William Scott's with them. This guy reminds me of Lesbian Seagulls and fucking Beavis and Butthead. You tell me he's not the same fucking dude.
Hey there, misters.
Hey there, fellas. And so they decide to hitchhike with them and not just go through some exposition.
Yeah.
They decide to hitchhike with them, and there's immediate tension between Sean William Scott and Jason Mewes, which I fucking love. And I'm just like,
hey man, let me ask you a question.
Let me give you a fucking. It's like, it reminds me of that Harold Kumar George Bush speech. It's like, do you like sucking dick? No. But you like getting your dick sucked, don't you? You're a fucking hypocriser too. But it's that conversation, and he's just like, it all ends with the punchline. This guy wants to fuck a goat. Sheep. This guy's a fucking dirty sheep fucker, and they toss him out, and like the women just panic immediately, and just like, fuck, we gotta get this fixed.
Because the entire time they say that they're on their way to liberate animals from a testing facility.
And Jay's first comment is, "What the fuck is wrong with you bitches?"
But eventually he's just like, yeah, I'm all about saving some monkeys and shit, because he just wants to get laid. So they set it up as if
even
they're
snake.
So they set it up as if they're there to just liberate some animals, but in reality, the girls are actually international jewel thieves.
Yes, which is fucking hilarious.
So they drop them off outside the testing facility.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. You go start without us, essentially. So they go find this monkey, later named Suzanne.
Yeah, so they find an orangutan.
Yes.
In the thing. Not only that, but they find, snakes, squirrels, birds, and all kinds of fucking rabbits and shit. And they're like, we gotta let them go. Because they're being tested. They're animal testing. Which, okay, morally, let's let them go. Maybe we think about it for a second. Maybe he has like some weird version of AIDS or some shit that might kill us all. Which does come up later in the movie. But they're doing the whole heist thing. And they're doing like basically the entrapment fucking like James Bond kind of shit. And Ellie Lauder just fails because she basically just shits her pants.
At the very end, like they all get through.
Fuck, that long haired stoner fuck was right. Yeah. Women who eat fast food fart. And so they abandoned, and there's the assumption that the girls die. Yeah. Because they see the van explode and all that shit. And they've succeeded in what they did.
And so we also have to bring up one of the best lines that happened right before they went into the testing facility to add to all of this, because they take this joke and use it 3 different times in the movie, and each time it gets funnier. So one of the girls pulls out a camcorder and was just like, Jay, do you have any thoughts on the pussy?
on the clitoris.
Yeah, and he's just like, I have a thought or two. And she's like, well, why don't you tell me about the clit?
And it's just like the most viral video you would have seen at that time.
And he's just like, I am the clit commander. I command the clit. You see clit, you see this fucking face. Like grab it, pinch it like this, rub it up against the nose.
It's fucking hilarious.
Grade A. So you're laughing at that already, okay? Well, you learn in like the following scenes after the van exploding and Jay having his big
justice, and the background music, justice,
So you've got your big moments like that. So they run off with the monkey and all that shit. Well, all of a sudden, it's all over the news.
Yes.
And
this is where Will Ferrell comes in.
Yes.
Because he's part of the Department of Wildlife. And he has to catch this fucking monkey. Now, he's dumber than shit. And it's fucking fantastic. Because we also get another person who shows up later on, and it's Judd Nelson from fucking The Breakfast Club. And he's the sheriff that's in town. So they make their way after the viral video of them. And you remember the little animation? We are the clip. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, fuck, now I gotta go track these pieces of shit down. Some shit happens at the Hoover Dam, blah, blah, blah. Before that, they end up in the diner.
Yes.
And this is where it's just a play on the whole thing. It's like, no, they're still inside. This is my heterosexual life mate, Bill. And it's just like,
he loves the cock.
He's just like, hold on, guys. This is just like, dude, those are the guys. Man, Judd Nelson's just losing his shit. Yeah. Those are the fucking guys. It's like, that is not a boy. That is an ape of the ape family. And it's just because Will Ferrell calls it a fucking monkey. Yeah. And he just corrects them. And he's just like, the famous line. He's like, I'm not going to get in trouble for killing this butt fucking Brady Bunch. It's like, perfect fucking lines. Perfect lines. It's
amazing.
And he's like, all right, guys, let's go get him. And it's like the realization, fuck, that was them. And they do the whole, what do you call it? The fugitive standoff at Hoover Dam. And he ends up falling through the dam because he's just a fucking idiot.
Yep. Takes a running charge.
And they're on the highway that's on top of Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to get everything, and
a bus comes by, grabs the monkey.
A little truck. And
grabs the orangutan, rather.
grabs the great ape.
And drives off.
It just drives the fuck off. And then we get the most irritating version of Silent Bob where he's just like, the back of the van said Critters of Hollywood. You dumb fuck. And he's just like, because he's signing, he's like, don't fucking do this fucking signing shit. You know, I hate that shit. And he's just like, God damn. He's like doing the square finger motion. He's just like, just beat him with a rock. But they go to Hollywood, and this is like the climax. This is the third act of the movie.
And this is where the joke shows up again too, because now Will Ferrell's getting on TV with not Colbert, but the other guy, Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
He's getting on TV with Jon Stewart talking about the clit.
Yep.
And they are just running this joke hard because the acronym for clit is the Coalition for the Liberation of Interant. ITINERANT.
Let me see. I can better read it.
English hard.
Yeah. The Coalition for the Liberation of Interrant Tree Dwellers.
Yeah, there we go. That's a mouthful.
Or like Will Ferrell, these little clitties.
Yes.
The derogatory term for the eco-terrorists, or clitties.
So they're like, the clit can be pretty sensitive. He's like, yes, we don't want to apply too much pressure to the clit. Yeah. They're just making these back and forth deadpan jokes.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. Is the clit even real? Like, they're just making these. Jon Stewart keeping his fucking face, and this is back when Jon Stewart would show up at a lot of stuff. And he was at the faculty, I think, around that time. And it's just the perfect fucking scene because just to skip over a lot of stuff.
Yeah, because they wind up getting onto the movie lot, and they're like running through all these different sets.
They meet what's his name from the Mike Judge collection is Diedrich Bader.
Yes,
as the guard, and he wants fellatio, and it's weird. But they meet.
Climax. Why don't you say why not? This was such a lovely tea party.
They meet James Vanderbeek and the guy that fucked the pie.
Yep, because they're playing Jay and Silent Bob in the movie.
He's like, I'm playing Ray, and it's just like, and my friend Bill. Jeez, and James Vanderbeek just throws this. Did you even fucking read this shit?
He's like the only one that's taking it serious.
And it's like everyone's just like, hey, it's the pie fucker. He's like, I have a name.
He's just like, I do one fucking movie. I do one movie, and it sticks with me. Everyone calls me the fucking pie fucker, which, again,
with Shannon Doherty.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he was so willing to poke fun at himself like that.
Yeah. Oh, man, you were great in Guys and Dolls. No, you're the guy that fucked the pie. That's all I'll ever be fucking known for.
Oh, yeah, and then you get Ben Affleck and
Matt
Damon showing up.
Matt Damon. But it's also it's kind of making fun of like unnecessary sequels after that, because there's like Good Will Hunting 2 hunting season. Go. And he's like, I don't like them apples, Bill. And then Good Will Hunting just pulls out a fucking shotgun and shoots this motherfucker in a bar. And they're just like, what the fuck? And like even Matt Damon's like, dude, what the fuck? This doesn't even make any goddamn sense. Matt, shut the fuck up while he's counting money. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, whatever. And they go from set to set. They go to the new Scream movie where it's Shannon Doherty.
Yep.
Who's about to be murdered by a fucking orangutan. And she's super fucking... Really, Wes? And Wes Craven is in it. And he's like, really, Wes? Are you even trying anymore?
We've done market research, and we found out that kids love monkeys.
And then they steal the fucking... This is our fucking child. Leave us alone. And it's like, and he looks at Shannon Doherty. See, people fucking love monkeys. But one thing leads to another. We meet Chris Rock again.
Yes,
as Spanky, the Spanky Taylor, I think his name was.
Cracker.
And it's Jamie Kennedy. And the whole argument with him and Jason Lee, he's like, you are nothing. You a tracer. All you motherfuckers are tracers. Bill Cosby did that shit.
Go give me my motherfucking coffee.
Yeah. Is it? You spit in this? No, sir.
No, sir.
Spit free. Spit free. Yeah, I bet you spit in this and still drinks it.
Yeah. No, he splashes his face. So go give me another one. crackle. Yeah, you don't like the fact that a big black man is running this movie set, huh?
Yeah, and it's just fucking
It's like,
a solid joke.
No, sir, I don't see a problem with this at
I
all.
like-
Yeah, probably eat you up inside that a black man in charge of this crack ass movie.
And then the whole Blunt Man and Chronic scene starts, and Mark Hamill shows up.
Yeah, I love the freeze frame. Hey kids, it's Mark Hamill.
As Cockknocker.
Cockknocker.
And you know what? This is not his worst role.
It's not.
It's not, because I've seen him as a preacher who tried to shoot a child in a movie called The Village.
Well, I saw him as a Jedi almost kill a child too. So
Yeah.
I mean, fuck.
Yeah. But it's so funny seeing him in this, because it's like you are pulling a lot of strings at Miramax, or even the Weinstein Company, basically, because they all were doing movies around that time. And with Miramax, it just makes it even funnier because they're just shitting on that fucking studio.
But I love the fact that he got two people from Star Wars in this movie,
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill. It's
Yeah.
like it's like that goes to show his pull already. That those two people are willing to play in the sandbox and just have fun with it.
I think a lot of it was, hey, guys, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. I'm in the movie business now. I would really love it if you guys were in the movie, or like there were some strings pulled, maybe not by him himself, maybe just producers of the movie who were like, "Yeah, Kevin Smith's a big fan. Let's surprise him. Let's get him some good roles."
Yeah.
And stuff
No, it was his casting folks reaching out and stuff. So it was still just really cool because he had just built those relationships.
Yeah, and there's small enough parts that they are fucking hilarious.
Yep.
Fun fact. We do see two other versions of Jay and Silent Bob when they get to Hollywood, and it's Tracy Morgan and his silent friend Dave.
Yes.
And wait, you on the job?
We're always on the job.
Local 305. It's like they're unionized. He's like,
Yeah.
oh shit. You guys union? Nah, man, we're still waiting for dental. And it's just like, yeah, all the weed dealers in the country are union. And I'm just like, that's such a fucking pull.
It's so good.
Local 305. And I'm just like, I'll always remember that. But like the women show up, and then
Will Ferrell shows up. Everyone fucking shows up.
and Chris Rock's line was, you guys, hey, ladies, come back to my trailer. I got a pot for this movie.
Yeah, then when the cops show up, he goes, "There are too many damn crackers on this film. I'm out."
I'll be in my trailer.
Yeah.
And the fight for them, Mark Hamill, the fight between Will Ferrell and the women, and it just all culminates into a weird fight scene.
Yeah, and it also culminates into, in the middle of the fight scene is when Silent Bob finally speaks, and he's just like, no. He
Yeah.
finally meets up with Brody. He's like, Brody, you motherfucker. Well, Jay's like,
Why are
giving
you
him
here ruining my life?
Yeah, Jason's giving him some shit, and Brody's like, come on, man, this is just the movie business, yada, yada, yada. He's like, well, where's our cut? He goes, you don't get a cut. Actually.
Yeah, and then the Silent Bob,
Yeah.
the whole montage is like, no, you used our likenesses, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
And because of that, you need to pay us money. He's like, this is gonna ruin my fucking career in Hollywood. Doesn't fucking matter, asshole.
Yeah. Give us our movie check, bitch.
Will Ferrell makes a back alley deal with the old girl, gets them all arrested, and they go to the premiere of the movie at the very end of the movie. It's fucking fantastic. They go to the premiere of the movie, they come out, and they're like, holy shit, Morris Day and the Time are playing across the street.
And as they're coming out of the movie, you
Yeah, we
see
see
a
a lot.
bunch of people that you hadn't seen yet. So it's like you get fanboy and tell him Steve Dave, and he's like, would you quit saying that? Because he's like, yeah, tell him Steve Dave. He's like, quit it.
And then you get Chase and Amy.
Yep.
And she's like, it's so fucking stupid. And she's like, well, didn't you have that thing with that one guy?
He's like, shut up.
Yeah. No, that was just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And then you find out that Brody, Jason Lee's character is in a homosexual relationship the whole time. And it's fucking hilarious. But Jay just yelling, hey guys, across the street, it's Morris Day and the Time.
Yep.
And it's the full band.
Yep.
Surprisingly, the full band's there. And
It ends on a big musical number, and they get up on stage, they do the dance.
And old girl's asking, hey, could you uncuff me? So I
Fuck no.
He's like, I will shoot you in the back, bitch. And it ends with Jungle Love.
Yep.
And that perfect fucking ending. And we get all the fucking like bloopers at the end, which I don't think we had bloopers before in a Kevin Smith movie, but solid S tier movie. Could watch it every day.
No,
I
absolutely
actually
agree.
This is one of the first DVDs I did buy. It was a double.
Yes.
Disc. It was the double disc with the box on top. And what's fucked up is because the menu was on it, I had a cheap DVD player and I lost the remote, so I couldn't press the enter button to get it to play.
Oh, that's so fucked up. I've got it, but it's so far away.
I was with my buddy and my car was in the shop, so I had to walk like 4 blocks to a Dollar General to buy a Universal remote. And then I forgot to buy batteries.
Fuck.
Yeah. That was back when Netflix didn't exist like it does. No streaming service. Everything was pirated like God intended.
Well, looking at the time on the recorder, I think this is actually a good little pause point, and we'll do a part 2 to this because this is kind of like an end of an era for him. Because after this, he does kind of run off the rails a little bit. I feel like the next few movies we're going to talk about weren't necessarily his productions, and you know, I may not have as much information on them, but the movie encyclopedia over here, I feel like is seeing all those, so we'll be able to really discuss those in detail and kind of talk about the
Good Will Hunting 2, hunting season.
Yeah, the low point and then the eventual build back up of the Kevin Smith universe. But for this episode of the Couch Potatoes, I've been Alex and Chris. Do you have any sort of final thoughts for us?
I'm not going to overstep and say I'm going to shoot this butt fucking Brady Bunch over here. All right? All right, they're trying to have a family, goddammit, with this mutant fucking child over here. God damn it, man. Those aren't the guys.